Prime Minister Andrew Holmess has expressed concern that he is being targeted following the latest Integrity Commission report, which was tabled in Parliament yesterday. In a statement last night, Mr. Holmess said despite the Commission not making conclusions or findings about him in the report, he has asked his lawyers to review the document and provide further advice. In a statement late Tuesday, the company emphasized that the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, the legally designated authority for room count and compliance, conducted multiple inspections of the site. It said the KSAMC found no breaches and confirmed during its most recent visit that the units consisted of 2 bedrooms. Estate Bridge acknowledged that variations in room size and layout were made during construction, but stated that these adjustments did not alter the building's footprint.
The Prime Minister was very clear in his statement, and the report was tabled yesterday in the House. I have not had a chance to go through it, and so I know we'll be reviewing it throughout the course of the day. But the Prime Minister's statement was very clear. He said many things. He thought that this was a transparent attempt at attacking his character. He was very clear on that. And I know that we in the Cabinet, we stand with the Prime Minister on this matter.
Do you guys think that the Integrity Commission is targeting the Prime Minister to tarnish his character, Ryme Nation family? So currently, the Integrity Commission submitted a report to Parliament stating allegedly that the Prime Minister is a shareholder of a company that breaches the KSAMC building code, Ryme Nation family. And if it is so that they breach the KSAMC building code, do you think that building should be demolished, Ryme Nation family? Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section. So here what the Prime Minister said now. I'm going to read the article, and then I have a few other videos I want you guys watch. So let me read the article first. So here what the Prime Minister said now. Having read the report of the Integrity Commission, I am concerned that I am being targeted. Firstly, I am not a director of the company which is the subject of the report. And I am not a shareholder in the company, nor do I own the property in question. Therefore, it's a puzzle to me why I am a subject of this report. I have been informed that the development has been inspected by the competent authority, KSAMC, which has confirmed that the number of rooms approved are the number of rooms constructed. Based upon the report, it is of grave concern that the investigators would ignore the statements given by the KSAMC, which is the competent authority, that they observe the development to be in structural conformity with the approved plan. It is also of concern that the investigators ignore the statements of the persons involved that explain the works being undertaken and went on to draft conclusions on construction work that was in progress. It seems more than coincidence that this report was submitted to Parliament a few days before the delivery of judgment of the Supreme Court in a matter in which I am seeking judicial review of another report of the Commission. The fact that a statutory entity would exercise its powers in such a manner is troubling. The transparent attempt to attack my reputation will not deter me from serving Jamaica. Despite the Commission having not made conclusions or findings about me in the report, which was tabled in the House of Representatives on December 10, 2024, I have asked my lawyers to review the report and provide further details. So Ryme Nation family, Ryme Nation family, I'm going to make you guys take a look at this video with the Education Minister defending Prime Minister Holmess, wherein he's a subject of an Integrity Commission report stating that allegedly he's a shareholder of a company that breaches the KSAMC building code. So take a look at the video, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section and tell me what you think about this one. So take a look.
The Prime Minister was very clear in his statement, and the report was tabled yesterday in the House. I have not had a chance to go through it, and so I know we'll be reviewing it throughout the course of the day. But the Prime Minister's statement was very clear. He said many things. He thought that this was a transparent attempt at attacking his character. He was very clear on that. And I know that we in the Cabinet, we stand with the Prime Minister on this matter. And these are definitely matters that are before the court, and so I try not to speak about matters that are before the court. But the Prime Minister in his statement was very clear that he was not a director, he's not a shareholder, and he doesn't own the property. That was very clear in his statement, and that is what I would like to be reported. I do note that there were some reports overnight that had said things different than that. And I note that this morning there are some editorial notes under some of those reports, which means that individuals are now clarifying previous reports that had been made. It is really important, especially when we're dealing with someone's integrity and character, that we get the stories right and that we don't issue statements that are not completely accurate. And I see the reports being corrected, and I'm very happy for that, and I thank members of the media who have been correcting their stories overnight. That's important. But the Prime Minister was very clear about his relationship with this company and his surprise that he would have been named in it. And as I said, we'll be reviewing the report and we'll make additional statements thereafter.
I was here from CVM. Just to follow up to that, Minister, can the Prime Minister effectively lead when his name has been linked to so many adverse IC findings?
I think the Prime Minister can definitely lead, and if you see what is happening, he is leading. He's leading our country very well. As I started this post-cabinet press briefing, I spoke about our unemployment rate at record low. When we got to 5%, I thought it was record, and we weren't going to go any lower. Then we went to 4%. Then we went to 3.6% unemployment. That is unheard of in Jamaica. And all of these things that we've seen where we are lauded around the world for, especially in terms of our economy, that was all done under the leadership of the most honorable Dr. Andrew Holmess. He is the one that has led us through COVID and led us beautifully through COVID. He is the one that has been steering us in terms of relooking the way we do infrastructure. When we look around our country, it looks completely different. If you ask any visitor who has not been to Jamaica for a while how they feel about Jamaica when they come here, they say it looks like a very different place, and it is a good thing. And that has been led, all of that has been led by our Prime Minister. And so this is an individual who has given his life to really supporting Jamaica in our dream of becoming a country that is seen as meeting its potential. That's what he has done. And so you may ask me, how do I feel about this? I personally feel really bad about what is happening. And I tell you why. Because I see someone who is working really hard, really, really hard for our country, and who I see his reputation being tarnished month after month after month. And what does he do? He gets up every day and he holds all of us in cabinet accountable. He tells us we're not doing enough. You have to do more. And Minister Williams is here and she knows it. He keeps pushing us. Our country needs you to do more. And so this is someone who I admire, and this is someone who I would love to see more leaders like this in our country going forward. Leaders who are thinking big, leaders who, in spite of any challenges, whether it's personal challenges to them or challenges to our country like a pandemic, get up and lead us well. And he has been doing that in spite of everything that has been thrown at him. And that says a lot about him and about his commitment to our country.
Prime Minister Andrew Holmess has expressed concern that he is being targeted following the latest Integrity Commission report, which was tabled in Parliament yesterday. In a statement last night, Mr. Holmess said despite the Commission not making conclusions or findings about him in the report, he has asked his lawyers to review the document and provide further advice. Anthony Lugg has our first report.
The Prime Minister says he's not a director or shareholder of the company which is the subject of the report, and he does not own the property in question. Mr. Holmess says he's puzzled as to why he's a subject of the report. Mr. Holmess says it's concerning that the investigators ignored statements given by the KSAMC that they observed the development to be in structural conformity with the approved plan. He also expressed concern that the investigators ignored the statements of the persons involved that explained the works being undertaken and went to draw conclusions on construction work that was in progress. The Prime Minister says it seems more than coincidence that this report was submitted to Parliament a few days before the delivery of the judgment of the Supreme Court in a matter in which he is seeking judicial review of another report of the Integrity Commission.
The Commission's report established that Dr. Holmess is connected to a development at 2 Wheatcliff Close, Kingston 6, through ADMAT Incorporated. Mr. Holmess was the original owner of the land and the sole director, shareholder, and beneficial owner of Imperium, a company that previously held shares in Estate Bridge at the time of the permit being granted on July 12, 2021. Although Imperium later relinquished its shares in October 2022, the report deemed it highly likely that the development at 2 Wheatcliff Close is the focus of the allegations. The KSAMC had granted approval for the construction of 4 two-bedroom townhouses. However, upon inspection, the development was found to consist of 4 four-bedroom townhouses, representing a clear breach of the permit. According to the Integrity Commission, this violation contravened the Building Act. The Commission further highlighted attempts by key individuals to mislead investigators. It pointed to inconsistent statements from Norman Brown, a director of Estate Bridge, who initially admitted in December 2023 that the development consisted of 4 four-bedroom townhouses. He later contradicted this during a formal investigation. Contractor Kenado Nesbeth also reportedly misrepresented the situation, despite his role in designing the building plans and his contractual obligation to ensure compliance with the permit. The Commission concluded that the breaches were deliberate. The Director of Investigations found that the directors of Estate Bridge had prior knowledge of the permit. The report also criticized the KSAMC for failing to ensure compliance with the building permit. Though their records indicated that the development had passed inspections, the Commission's findings revealed otherwise. The Integrity Commission issued several recommendations to address the breaches, including an administrative review of KSAMC's compliance mechanisms, enhanced post-permit monitoring, and measures to corruption-proof the system. It also called for legislation to impose financial penalties on developers who deliberately violate building permits for profit, with profits from such breaches forfeited. Notably, the Commission refrained from referring the matter to the Director of Public Prosecutions, citing a previous ruling in a similar case. Instead, the report has been referred to the KSAMC for appropriate action.
In a statement late Tuesday, the company emphasized that the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KSAMC, the legally designated authority for room count and compliance, conducted multiple inspections of the site. It said the KSAMC found no breaches and confirmed during its most recent visit that the units consisted of 2 bedrooms. Estate Bridge acknowledged that variations in room size and layout were made during construction, but stated that these adjustments did not alter the building's footprint. The company noted that the necessary applications to reflect these changes are currently in process. Estate Bridge also criticized the Commission for its methodology, arguing that it drew conclusions from visits made while the development was still under construction. It says at the time the Commission made its unannounced visits, extensive plumbing work and modifications, such as digging into walls and slabs, were being undertaken. The company maintains that it would have been impossible to determine final room in those situations. Estate Bridge also raised concerns about the timing of the Integrity Commission's report. The directors suggested its submission to Parliament was strategically timed to coincide with an application in the Supreme Court for judicial review by Director Norman Brown. Brown is challenging the Commission's findings against him and Estate Bridge in a separate report. The company says the present report relied on hearsay, misrepresentation of facts, and baseless conclusions. Estate Bridge has characterized the Integrity Commission's actions as an attempt to tarnish the reputation of its principals. The company says the principals are law-abiding citizens who give yeoman service to Jamaica and will not be deterred by baseless allegations and bureaucratic overreach of an organization that is not the competent authority.
And he mentioned some specific people who are pertinent to the investigation. Xavier Chivans, Chief Engineering Officer at KSAMC, Roshane Hamilton, Field Officer, Orion Brown and Sean Martin, Field Officer, Kenado Nesbeth, KNN Designs and Consultants, Norman Brown, Sigia Anderson and Adam Holness, who are directors and shareholders of Estate Bridge, Donovan Williams, the company secretary of Estate Bridge, and Dr. Holness, the legal and beneficial owner of a company called Imperium Investments, which is a former shareholder of Estate Bridge. And the director says what the investigation sought to establish was the following: whether there exists any development in Beverly Hills / Cherry Gardens that was or were connected to Dr. Holness, and if so, whether the requisite approvals were obtained for their construction, whether the terms and conditions of any approvals and or permits issued had been adhered to, whether there were any breaches of the Building Act, the Town and Country Planning Act, the Integrity Commission Act, and any other relevant legislation, and whether recommendations ought to be made in relation to the subject. So the report speaks of the process of investigation, how many statements were taken, and so on. The director says inquiries of the KSAMC reveal that the only development in Beverly Hills / Cherry Gardens that Dr. Holness was in some way connected with is 2 Waycliffe Close. This was owned by Estate Bridge. The directors of Estate Bridge were Sigia Anderson, Norman Brown, Adam Holness. The shareholders, Sigia Anderson, Norman Brown, Imperium had held 5,001 ordinary shares when the company was incorporated, surrendered 1,000 of those on the 28th of January 2021, and then surrendered the other 4,001 shares on the 20th of October 2022. Adam Holness, also a shareholder. The director says one of the company's shareholders, Imperium, is familiar because of a recently concluded investigation into the statutory declarations of Dr. Holness. So Dr. Holness was asked about Imperium, and he said Imperium is a company in which he was sole director and shareholder. In 2020, he wound up a company called ADMAT Incorporated, which is incorporated in St. Lucia, in which he and his sons were shareholders and directors, and the assets from ADMAT were transferred to Imperium. Dr. Holness had also said in a letter to the Integrity Commission that the company called Estate Bridge had entered into a land development agreement to develop property owned by ADMAT at 2 Waycliffe Close. The principals of ADMAT intended to wind up the company and transfer its business to a locally registered company. And in anticipation of that winding up process, ADMAT liquidated and or transferred its assets to Imperium, except for 2 Waycliffe Close, which it was considered more economical to transfer directly to Estate Bridge, since that was the entity that would develop the land and ultimately subdivide and sell the units. This is information that came from Dr. Holness. The property at 2 Waycliffe Close was therefore, Dr. Holness said, transferred to Estate Bridge free and clear. Imperium and Adam Holness held shares in Estate Bridge.